Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rourke with Tom Fitzenmeyer with Summit Commodity Brokerage. Well, we ended with the livestock mostly higher, except for the deferred hogs and over in the grains, corn and soybeans, some slight gains with wheat setting back. And let's start off talking about corn and soybeans, Tom. Just a little bit of a bounce, and most of it is just some short covering, a little technical or corrective buying.
Yeah, I think primarily short covering. The funds hold a pretty substantial short position, so maybe a little evening up ahead of this quasi long weekend where we're closed Thursday but open Friday with a lot of traders absent, taking a long weekend out of that. Um, Again, we got quite oversold, so correction on that's not a big surprise. On soybeans, we went up to kind of the top end of that downward trending channel and then fell away from that pretty hard by the close on Tuesday. Corn, I don't know. Yeah, you got weakness in the wheat market, weakness in the crude oil. It's just hard to get anything going without any real genuine weather concerns in the corn
Yeah.
market.
Yeah. Do you think the markets are at least trying to bottom? And even if we do, how much recovery can you expect?
Well, I don't know if they're trying to bottom or they're trying to they're just pausing. If we come on, if we come out of this 4th of July with non-threatening weather, maybe some of these wetter areas dry out a little bit. You see the crop condition ratings stabilize. I don't know. It's going to be really hard to maintain higher prices. And then the other thing that's sort of lurking around here is you got the farmer holding what 36% more corn than they were last year. So you've got this huge pile of corn sitting in the farmer's hands that come September 1st, if they've got a good crop coming, they're going to have to start moving it, and everybody knows it. So there's all kinds of basis risks sitting out here for farmers sitting on all that cash corn. So you got that as a factor too. I think they've done a fairly good job of keeping their beans sales current, but that corn number is going to be a problem.
Yeah. Plus, you have the funds, which are back short in all of these markets, and they're pretty comfortable being short right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they're short. Our people think we're roughly short about 316,000 contracts of corn. Record is around 341. Although, like you and I talked a little earlier, they're probably close to a record for this time of the year. Funds don't tend to be this heavily short in June, early July. Now, after the crop's pollinated and everything looks good, they're certainly not afraid to be heavily short the corn market, but not this early. So, having said that, what's on the horizon that's going to make it go up much? Is it going to be, a little bump in demand? Um, that's probably not going to be that big a deal. It's really going to take some production problems, and it's kind of hard to visualize that. Even if you have heat in the middle of the pollination period with the subsoil we've got pretty much everywhere, it's gonna be tough to get it to rally.
Yeah, and their mentality right now is rain makes grain, and they're kind of overlooking some of these flooded areas, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's going to take a while to sort out. Maybe by fall rolls around, we found out that there were more flooded acres. When fall rolls around, we might find out that Argentina and Brazilian crops weren't as good as USDA is saying. So I mean, there's some stuff percolating around this fall that could be supportive, but it's going to take a while to sort that all out, I think.
No doubt. The wheat market, do you think that market is possibly bottomed? We have crossed the 50% mark, at least for harvest. So maybe that takes a little pressure off.
Yeah, I think that 550 level is probably fairly good support in the wheat market. I guess I wouldn't want to be pressing the short side of wheat below that too hard. What the upside is, I don't know. I don't know. That's going to depend. The Black Sea region is another area that needs to be watched pretty closely, both for wheat and corn. And their droughts, from everything I read, seems to continue to worsen. So that again is another problem that's kind of percolating around. But it sure looks like we're going to have a pretty good wheat crop in the U.S. And that's going to keep us maybe down at lower levels, where we just turn into a sideways trading affair here down at the bottom, at these lower levels.
Yeah. And a down day today, and man, it has been a big slide from the highs, hasn't it?
On wheat, you mean?
On wheat, yes.
Yeah, it's been been ugly for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It really has, and that's been a negative for the corn market too. That hasn't helped that market at all. So it's sort of spread over into other things, and not not in a good way.
Yeah. Do you think we have all of the bearish news kind of factored into the markets at least, or are we getting close, Tom? Because, we've got the reports out of the way and that sort of thing.
I don't know. We still don't know what the yield's going to be on corn. If the yield holds up like they say, if you end up with a 2.2 to 2.4 billion bushel carryout, there is the potential for new crop corn to go down and test $4. So I guess I'd say maybe we're done for the short run. But if we get through pollination without problems, I think there's certainly room for another round for us to slip maybe even well under $4 possibly.
Yeah, and those ending stocks are going to have to be reconciled there in the July 12th report. So that's where we'll likely see that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exports demand's been pretty good, probably better than the USDA has been projecting. Ethanol production, same, probably needs to be bumped a little bit, but that's not that's if that added up to 100 million bushel, I'd be surprised. And we gained more than that on those reports last Friday.
No doubt. What about the cattle market? Back up to the plus side today with the reminder here that we did have record cash for the third week again last week. Is that what's going to continue to hold this market together?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, maybe there's not maybe, there should be good, strong support on the Argus cattle at 180 or just a little above 180, and resistance up there at 186. And I think you're going to see us bounce around in that range. If the cash market continues to be strong, we're probably going to test those upper resistance levels again. Exports have not been great. We continue to have support from numbers, although weights have been up, so the total tonnage has been pretty solid. Domestic demand has been an ongoing concern, but seems to hang in there fairly well. People are buying a few steaks and a lot of hamburger, and all that seems to be supporting that part of the demand side. So I don't know. The cattle market looks pretty solid to me. Now, maybe our go-go days up in the 190s are behind us for a while, but I don't think there's a lot of downside either.
No doubt. The hog market looks like maybe we've put a low in, but now where do we go? Do we just continue to move kind of sideways here?
I think we go sideways. You put a nice low in. There's not a lot again, to get all that excited about in the hog market. Maybe you go up and test the top end of that range we've been in for the last, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. But beyond that, I think it's going to be tough to get a lot going in the hog side.
Yeah, no doubt, because you can't get cash and cutout values really to rally much, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, that's the problem, obviously.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Tom Fitzgerald with Summit Commodity Brokerage. That is Markets Now.